If you're an entrepreneur and want to know how to build a game-changing brand, take a look at Allbirds. They made $118 million in the last 6 months, and they're a brand that was built on Shopify. This is how they did it. So today I'm going to talk to you about Tim Brown, who founded the most eco-friendly shoe brand in the world. Then I'm going to share some knowledge about how he did it and how you can do the same with your business. But first, let's talk about the shoe itself. So they just started off with one shoe originally. They just sold a single shoe and it got really popular. It's worn by heaps of celebrities like Barack Obama, Emma Watson. The design is kind of minimalist. There's no logos, there's not many color. They're very popular in Silicon Valley. They're like the unofficial office wear of startups. The big thing with them is that they're very eco-friendly. The sports shoe that they make takes 11.3 kilograms of carbon to make, which is very, very low. The emphasis is definitely on sustainability. They're made out of wool, eucalyptus fiber, crab shells. But Tim Brown famously said, people don't buy sustainability, they buy good products, and that is what we hope we are achieving. So even though the brand is focused on sustainability, their vision is more than that. Tim said in an interview that Allbirds is not a fashion brand.
I don't consider us a fashion brand. You know, we've gone out to distill a classic form into its simplest thing. So in some ways there are so many barriers and constraints to what we do. We've stuck with this and we've arrived at a product that pre-launch was considered unremarkable.
And you can see that in the design of their shoe. They're not super trendy, they're not super sleek or fashionable, they're not breaking any new ground when it comes to the design of the shoe itself. So if the vision of Allbirds isn't exactly fashion and it's not exactly sustainability, what exactly is their vision? So let's take it back to the beginning. Tim Brown was originally a professional football player. In that career, he was given a lot of free shoes from sponsorships and stuff like that. And these shoes were very colorful and overly designed, and they had logos printed everywhere. And then one day, Tim was taken backstage to how the sausage was made, and he got to see the factories that the shoes were built in. And that's when he had a bit of a moment, and he realized just how much waste these shoes create. So the story goes, he had this idea for a natural shoe made from natural materials, and he took an 8-week entrepreneurial course, and the professor basically said, look, this is a bad idea. I want you to start a Kickstarter just so you can see how much it will fail, and then you can move on with your life. Tim said, all right, I'll start the bloody Kickstarter. Yeah, it was not a failure. In fact, it made a shit ton of money. That's how this shoe brand started, from a Kickstarter campaign back in the day. He ended up raising about $120,000 and had to end the campaign early because he already had enough money and people were giving him too much. He talks about this part of his career and says, don't give up on your dreams because you never know when you're just about to reach the next breakthrough. And I think that's something we can all learn from me regarding this YouTube channel, for example. By the way, if you do want to support this channel, click the like button down below and subscribe while you're down there. Okay, so he had this really good idea, but he needed a partner to help with the supply chain. So he teamed up with his wife's best friend's husband, Joey Zwillinger. Basically, when they first met up, Joey cooked him a stew made of lamb, which is a joke because the shoe's made out of wool, haha. Now, there's something to learn about this partnership here because Tim Brown famously says, team up with somebody who thinks completely differently to you. So because these two partners come at problems in a different way, it often gives them different perspectives on how to overcome problems and ideas that they might not have come up with by themselves. So I think that's something to think about if you're working on your business. So the reason Allbirds is in the news right now is because they're going ahead with their initial public offering. If you don't know what this is, it's basically when you make your brand public so anyone can buy stocks in it. It usually brings in a heap of capital to the business and makes a ton of money for the people who have equity. So the brand is a B Corp, which basically legally binds them to have responsibilities when it comes to the environment. So they have to meet certain targets when it comes to employee diversity, sustainability. So sustainability has been trending in the market, but legally binding themselves to this adds legitimacy to their claim. So the other thing that Allbirds have been doing is that although they started off on Shopify, they've started branching into brick and mortar real life retail stores. So they've opened up outlets in, London, New York, Auckland. So these are places where people can actually go into the store and check out the shoes themselves. But they're still using Shopify's PSO to keep track of all their inventory, even in the real life stores. So Tim talks about how businesses businesses need to drive down their carbon footprint. If a carbon tax was introduced tomorrow, half of the businesses on planet Earth would just go under immediately. It's becoming financially important to reduce your carbon impact, not just for the environment, but for the future of your business. Another mentality I like about Tim is that he doesn't release products unless he knows that he can do them better. It's kind of like how Apple doesn't make a product unless it knows that it'll be successful.
But I have to tell you, there's some stuff in our industry that we wouldn't be proud to ship, that we wouldn't be proud to recommend to our family and friends. And we can't do it. We just can't ship junk.
I think that gives the brand a lot of prestige and a lot of credibility because you just know that you're not going to buy shit from them. Basically, any product you buy is going to be of a really high caliber. So he's focused on fewer, better things rather than contributing to the noise, which is something that you could definitely use if you have a business that only sells a few products. Maybe it's not always better to diversify. Sometimes it's better to stick to your niche and focus on making it as good as possible. The other thing that Tim talks about is that feedback is important, but it's also equally important to know when to ignore feedback. There's a sweet spot where you're able to take feedback on board, but also filter it through your own lens. So Tim and Joey also talk about the worst piece of advice they've ever gotten for their business, and it was this: raise as much money as possible. Tim says that there's more than one way to build a business. You know, it's not always about raising as much profit as possible. And there's this idea in startups, or if you're an entrepreneur as well, that once you get the profit, then you can celebrate. But Tim and Joey kind of argued the opposite. Once you get the money, that's when the pressure really starts. And I think that's certainly true, especially if you're just starting out. It's not about seeing like exponential growth. It's about building like a stable base, a stable foundation. So when you do take off, you're prepared and you can scale up vertically. Here's a bit of practical advice. They talk about how you don't need to have a sequenced checklist of things that you need to tick off. Instead, they talk about waking up and thinking about 3 things that you need to achieve today. They could be things that you need to do right now, or something that is long-term but you would never start if you were just focused on the present. Tim also has this cliche piece of knowledge, but I think it's something that we should all carry going forwards, whether we're an entrepreneur or a creator, and it's thinking about why we're doing what we're doing. At the start of his business, Tim was kind of struggling with the vision of the brand. He knew that he wanted to focus on sustainability, but that was as far as it went. And it wasn't until he really dived into the problem that he was solving, which was sustainable manufacturing, that the vision all came together. So that was very important for Tim, and it gave the beating heart to Allbirds. I want you to leave a comment down below why you've started your business, because I think that's going to help you clear up where the direction of your business should go in the future. Hey guys, if you liked this video, check out the video I made earlier this week about TikTok and Shopify's partnership. Big things are coming down the line for e-commerce. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.